Welcome to the Pot.Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G. This podcast is all about connecting the community with the thought leaders of business and entertainment in the cannabis industry. As this industry expands and becomes more and more mainstream, we want to educate and entertain our listeners and become your choice and voice for all things cannabis. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show. Listeners, are you looking for the only one-stop online platform in the cannabis industry? Then you have to check out MJ.com. MJ has it all. Medical and professional news and trends. Get your medical card. Over 150 free workouts for your health and fitness. VIP membership. 2 different gaming apps to win cash and prizes. Find your local dispensaries. Learn about the latest strains and search for your career in the marijuana industry. And don't forget to get your favorite lab-tested CBD products delivered straight to your front door. It's all at MJ.com. Welcome to another episode of the Pot.Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G. And today, our guest is Mr. Josh Swider. He is the CEO of Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs, and their mission is to provide the cannabis industry with accurate and timely analytical services of the highest quality while meeting or exceeding their clients' expectations. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Len. Great to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So why don't you just right off the bat tell everybody what Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs is all about?
So here at Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs, we're an analytical chemistry lab first. We hold science to the highest regard, and we provide accurate and timely results for our customers. We also partner with our customers, not in a financial sense, but a science sense. We love to help all of our customers be successful in whatever endeavors they're doing, and to formulate products or to solve problems within their method of creating their cannabis products or CBD.
Okay, so let's hit it from 2 different angles. First, from the consumer angle of why a company like yours is important, with everyone not having a clue what's in the product they're taking without, regulation. Tell everybody from the consumer point of view why your job's important.
So from the consumer point of view, the best thing to do is always we want to look at things like certificate analysis from labs like mine. You want to see that your product's been tested. Anyone can put any claim on any package, and you want to make sure it's been verified by a third-party testing lab like Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs. What we do out here is we're going to confirm, like if you're buying a CBD product or a THC product, that it actually has the dosing you're recommended or you want to consume. And yet the biggest point is that you're actually getting a safe product. There's a lot of pesticides used in this industry and other various potentially harmful things to anyone that can consume. So the biggest thing that any consumer will want to look for is to make sure it's been safety tested, make sure that the potency is what they're looking for. The CBD market as well as the cannabis market has had a lot of problems in the early stages, and we're here to help fix it and make sure the consumer is getting what they're buying.
And from the business point of view, if you're a business owner, obviously you want that trust and authority and validity. Talk about it from that point of view as well.
Yeah. So as a business standpoint, if any businesses are looking to create a product, you want to make sure that you're consistently creating a product. So one customer doesn't buy your product looking for 10 milligrams, let's say, of CBD, and they're taking it and only getting 2 and they're not feeling any therapeutic effects from it. You want to have consistent product and make sure the product's safe. I mean, no one in this industry should be out there just to make the buck, and we should all be looking to make a product that's safe for consumers to consume.
I assume that your client base are all companies that are looking to get tested, or is it actual consumers that come to you just to test something they tried? Is it both or just companies?
So we do see both. Primarily, we work business to business with many large manufacturers in both spaces of CBD and cannabis, as well as a few other items that we do as an analytical chemistry lab. But primarily, it is business to business, and we're always there to partner and help formulate, like I said before, and then also consumers. We have consumers coming in every day and bringing in, let's say, a vape they bought from maybe the illicit market, and they're like, "Oh, I'm starting to feel sick," and then we test the product, and it doesn't contain what they thought or what was even on that label, or it contains high pesticide contamination or maybe a solvent, heavy metals we see a lot in vape pens. So we've seen it all, and we've definitely been here to help the consumers and as well as the businesses figure out what they're consuming.
So how can our listeners, whether they are a business owner or whether they are a consumer, how can they get more information about Infinite Chemical and Analysis Labs?
A great place to start is start with the website. It's infinitecal.com, and then that's going to be our San Diego location. Then we also have another lab opening in Michigan in November, and that is infinitecalmi.com. That's the best place to start. Both of those have phone numbers. We have a great staff here with customer service is the highest regard. We have multiple account managers. Any phone call will be answered. You can actually online, you can live chat with us if you have any questions. Anytime, we're always here to pick up the phone. We're open Pacific time from 6 a.m. till 10:30 at night, and we're always here to answer the phone and answer any questions that anyone does have.
Do your business clients need to be localized to your locations, or can they be anywhere?
So for cannabis, we can only test cannabis in the states that we're licensed in, and that's going to be California and Michigan. And CBD products, we do test from around the United States, depending on the regulation of the state.
Great. Okay, so let's back up. Let's talk about your journey. So I know that you have multiple degrees, and I'm sure this wasn't the plan when you were going through the educational process. Take us through your journey and how you transitioned into this industry.
Yeah, so I started out as an undergraduate. I went back to school after some years out, and I started out with a Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry and degrees in Physics and Biology at Eastern Washington University. And then I got into graduate school down here in San Diego. It's SDSU, San Diego State University, and transitioned to a joint doctoral program at University of California, San Diego. While in the program, I was developing ion sources for mass spectrometers. I know that's a lot of words, so it's those cool instruments that we use to analyze all this data. So I've built and fixed those things for years. And towards the end of my journey through school, I saw this industry getting larger, and I always heard negative things about cannabis testing labs or CBD testing labs, that people are not necessarily giving the correct results and kind of pay to play. And as an analytical chemist, it's kind of really made me sick. And that's the thing I really wanted to bring to the industry, was consistency and actually scientific integrity to the results that we're putting out. So we're one of those labs that whatever's in the product, we're going to report regardless what the name of the product is, whose name's on it.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, because a lot of brands, as we know, there are just hundreds and thousands of CBD brands in particular, and people do not know what is in it as they're jumping into trying these products, and they can really actually pay off a lab to get a C of A, right? So you just stay arm's length, third party, and you tell them what the results are, whether they want to hear it or not.
Yes. And that's the thing, is batch testing. And if someone creates a CBD product and they try to do it the same way the next time they make a batch of it, they don't necessarily always test it. And that's the biggest thing, is just because you did something once, an error can happen and you don't create the same product. And it's not necessarily someone's intentionally doing it, but they're unknowingly doing it. And that's why things like the cannabis industry is kind of structured more into the batch testing. The CBD industry doesn't really have that yet. And we've always been vocal and working with local and non-local CBD regulations. And the one of the biggest things in CBD, it's a little horrifying to me, is we don't see safety testing. Most states only have CBD potency testing, where they're only doing it on like a one-time batch type thing, and they're just sending in a batch number to me and I test the product. I would really like to see, and the consumers should be outraged and asking for this as well, is they want to see the safety testing on all their CBD products. I mean, we've done studies with various dispensaries or CBD suppliers that we're buying the stuff off a site like Amazon, and they bring it all into us, and then we test it all, and we'll find no trace of CBD in a product that's labeled, 100 milligrams per gummy bear, and there's no CBD at all in it. And we've also we've worked with manufacturers developing these methods. A lot of people think it's just an easy method, like you just take your isolate CBD and mix it in with something, and then boom, you're done. It's not always that simple. We got to remember we're doing chemistry here when we're formulating these items, and there's a lot of back-end work, and the most successful companies have put in that work. And I truly believe there's a lot of people out there that need to start thinking that way and kind of putting more effort into it and looking into this. Work with a lab like Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs, and we're here to answer the phone and talk with you about your formulation. We don't go and share the information with anyone, and we try to help out with the science side of what we see could be a potential problem later.
So what's your advice? I think you might have actually just hit on most of it, but what's your advice to the consumer who's never tried the product? They're in the process of educating themselves on, okay, I have anxiety and I want to try CBD, whatever the ailment may be. What should they look for when they go buy something online or they buy something off the shelf? You mentioned the safety seal, but the safety analysis, the actual data analysis of what's in it. Is there an easy way? A lot of our listeners, I just want you to think of it not as a scientist, as a layperson. A lot of our listeners are new to this and they're trying to get educated. So what's the simplest approach for them to try and find a legitimate brand?
The best thing to do is look for a reputable company. Find this company, like do a little research. You got to do a back-end research on what you're going to be consuming and what you're going to buy to make sure that's something you want. So the first thing you should do is look for them that they're getting their product tested. And then, like we've talked about, we said the word COA a lot, certificate analysis. It's something that a lab will produce to show the consumer or any one of their clients what's actually in their product. So furthermore, you want to look at that certificate analysis. You want to see, okay, Infinite Chemical Analysis tested it. Well, who are those guys? Well, maybe go ahead and look them up. On our website, you can see people's pedigree that we're actually scientists and we're running these analysis for people. That's a good start. You see a trusted lab. Now you know a trusted lab in your head. Make sure that even if you're not going to use Infinite, there's a lot of labs out there that potentially help be a credible source. But make sure it's just not a random piece of paper with crayon marking on it that says, pass. And then look more into it. I mean, on the COAs, we try to make them as consumer-based as possible. And we know a lot of lingo and chemistry will get confusing, so we do simple things like pesticide, and we'll have a pass in green. Now you see that, and you can scroll down and see what pesticides are tested and everything like that. But the important part is to see these things like the safety testing on it. I think that's primarily the first thing. Make sure you're seeing the heavy metal analysis, the pesticide analysis, the microbial analysis, the things that can potentially get you sick or potentially over a long time of consuming a product could give you cancer or anything else. That's primary step one. The second step, well, let's make sure that we have the correct potency on these things. So what I mean by potency is the CBD concentration. If we're sticking with CBD, if the product's labeled 10 milligrams per gummy bear of CBD, look at the COA. Make sure the COA matches that. If it comes out 9.8, well, that's relatively 10, you can feel secure with that. If you see a report and it says 1 milligram of CBD, but it's labeled 10, and there's probably something going on with the manufacturer and something's wrong. So what you want to do is build your bank of trusted manufacturers of the things you like to consume and trusted testing labs out there. I think that's kind of the order you definitely want to do it. After you find these trusted manufacturers or testing labs, if you stick with those companies, when you see those brands pop up, you're going to end up getting the same product every time, and you'll actually get what you pay for.
Okay, so how does a brand, they contact you and say, okay, we just started this new product line, whether they're white labeling it from a manufacturer or they're doing it themselves, and they want to make sure everything's up to snuff. How does it work with you? They contact you and say, we want to send it to you. What do you require from that brand to get this testing process done? Is it like a blood test where you check off the different tests you want on the blood, or is it just a standard test?
Exactly. So we have online digital forms that you can check off exactly what you want. We have cannabis forms, CBD product forms, and you can go in and say, okay, I made this CBD product, let's say a CBD vape pen, and you want to go ahead and have that tested. What you can do is say, hey, I want the potency testing, the pesticide testing, the residual solvent. We kind of like a la carte testing, since there's no compliance testing like the cannabis industry yet. It's a la carte, but you can definitely check all those boxes, and then that's what we'll end up testing for them and creating the COA based upon that. The forms can be found on our website at infinitecal.com under the forms section.
Great. Give us a few unnamed stories of some things that you tested that really may have surprised you.
So, like I was saying, we did a study on the Amazon products. It was very alarming that we see. So, a lot of times the manufacturers too, they don't think the products they use to create them. So, a lot of things is edibles. People can buy ingredients that are very harmful or contain high levels of pesticides, and then they take their CBD isolate and mix it in, and then what you see is, okay, I'm going to make this gummy bear, and I'm using all these flavorings, and the flavorings contain, especially citrus ones, you see high concentrations of potentially extremely harmful pesticides in there. And they mix these products together, make these huge batches, and then they end up failing for it. The other things we see a lot is be very careful buying them online. Make sure you're looking for that COA, because I think I ran through 40 different products in a row that claim they have hemp CBD, and it had no CBD at all in them. So pretty much people were just buying gummy bears from a large manufacturer, repackaging them in their packaging and selling them now for $40, and they paid 4 cents for them.
That's what's given the industry a tough reputation, right? While everything's not really regulated.
Yeah, that's what gives everyone a bad name, and that's what we're here to change it. And I think there are pioneers out there that are doing things right, and that's what the people you really want to look for. If we all want to be in this industry, support the industry, and support the use of CBD or any kind of hemp or cannabis product, we need to make sure we're buying them from the reputable sources, the people that are putting in the effort and going above and beyond and testing every ingredient before they mix it together and package it, and then they test it at the end to make sure there was no problems during the manufacturing process. And I'm not pitching just testing, I'm pitching consumer safety.
Yep, agreed. So give us an example. Let's say let's just stick with CBD for now, since that's more popular nationally. Let's say the last 100 batches of CBD that you tested, how many of them were real and how many of them were not what people say was in them?
So we have some large clients. So if I'm talking about just random tests, I would say 90% are not what they claim to be. Wow. Or have very harmful things in them.
That's incredible. So people, you need to educate yourselves and do your research, like Josh said. Man, unbelievable. So let's talk about the overall industry, just from your point of view. Obviously, federal legalization is going to happen at some point. We don't know how quick or not. Maybe medical first, then recreational later. What's your feelings on federal legalization to kind of create a uniform process in this country?
That would be a great thing to happen. And I mean, even with federal legalization, there's going to be a federal minimum. Just like any other regulation in the United States, every state kind of, will one up the other states, or like California or Pacific states have very high environmental regulations. It'll kind of be like that. We'll get a baseline regulation, which I really hope that does happen, so consumers can be safe when buying these products. And then further out, each state will kind of have their own caveats, and I would love to see that. And as an analytical chemist, I mean, those kind of things don't bother me. I believe that that's what we should do, is start with a high bar, and let's make sure that this is a product that is safe for consumers.
Give us something as we finish up here, Josh, and thanks again for your time. It's awesome. It's a different point of view that people need to hear. Give us something that excites you about the overall industry. You can relate this to your niche or the overall industry, something that excites you and something that concerns you.
So what really excites me with the industry is watching it grow. So we've been doing this for about 4 years, and I love to see that I feel like the West Coast has been doing this longer, just because the regulations in it and putting more science into it. I love to see that people are actually manufacturing products, and they're getting it extremely consistent. From when this started 4 years ago, it was all over the place, and we're finding a lot of work going into this and effort. And I would love to see more federal funding. If we ever got federally legal, we're going to be able to do the studies, the human trials, or the animal trials, and getting it up to human trials to make sure we can get therapeutic effects from all these cannabinoids or CBD. And I would love to see more effort and research go to it. And I think there are great people in this industry now. It's not necessarily people just going for the dollar. And that's kind of the double-edged sword. That's what I think is great in this industry, and we've seen such a movement on it. But then the other side is the illicit market, or the black market, in both these industries, of the people just trying to make the dollar. That's the scariest thing to me, is people are just mixing things. Oh, how can I make more money? Let's pour two things together. One of them is potentially harmful. And I think that's what's scary. And I really want the consumers to think about this and find their trusted brands and find their trusted testing laboratories that they can prove they have a good product that they're consuming.
Well said. So Josh Swider, CEO of Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
And we will see everyone next time on the Pot.Live podcast. Are you ready to be a VIP? Well, Culture Club is ready to bring you thousands of dollars in exclusive deals with the touch of a finger. Simply visit cultureclubusa.com, sign up, and you will get immediate access to dozens of CBD products, services, vacation rentals, over 1,800 vacation rentals, sports gear for all the top pro leagues, all of them, and educational courses. And check this out, a free $100 gift as soon as you sign up. Culture Club is basically paying you to become a member. It's a no-brainer. Go to cultureclubusa.com and become a VIP today.